What is good, people? Welcome back to CINECALIBER. If you're new here, welcome. You picked a great video to start with because today we are talking about Invincible Season 4. And look, I've been waiting to do this one. This season had me going through a full range of emotions, and I got some things to say about it. We're going to talk the good, the bad, what hit different, and what didn't quite land. I'll keep it as spoiler light as I can up front, but I'll flag you when we get into spoiler territory. So just be aware of that. But let's get into it, guys. So we have Invincible Season 4. Here's some background and context. So, real quick for anybody who needs it. Invincible got its Season 4 green light back in July of 2024. And credit where it's due, they actually kept their promise on releasing seasons annually. After that brutal 2-year wait between Seasons 1 and 2, Kirkman and the team clearly got their act together because Season 4 dropped right on time. March 18th, 2026, 3 episodes at once, then weekly from there until the finale on April 22nd. And what's interesting about how this season got made is that they were already writing Season 4 scripts while Season 3 was still in production. They overlapped the whole development cycle. Voice work was done early, and all the remaining time went straight into animation and post-production. That kind of planning matters, and honestly, you can feel it in how structured the season ambitions are, even when the execution wobbles a little bit. Robert Kirkman has also been pretty open that this show has a long road ahead. He's said flat out that if it ends at Season 5, something went wrong. His rough plan is somewhere between Season 7 to 9. Between 7 to 9 seasons to do the full 144-issue comic run justice. Season 5 is officially confirmed, so we're not going anywhere anytime soon. Keep that in mind as we talk about Season 4, because this season is very much a setup season in a lot of ways, and that's both its strength and its weakness. So, guys, we're going to talk about what was a hit here, the good. So really, it's just the long-term storytelling that is the big highlight of this show. So story-wise, Season 4 takes on the Viltrumite War. And if you know the comics, you know that this is the arc. This is the one fans have been waiting for. It's a massive coalition-scale conflict that pulls Mark way beyond the Earth-level stakes we've been used to. The season opens with the world still in recovery after the Invincible War from last season, and Mark is carrying a ton of guilt while trying to hold everything together. And here's where the season really earns its stripes. It's not just about the action. The writing forces Mark into situations where throwing hands is not the answer. That's a real shift for this character, and the show leans into it hard. We'll get deeper into that when we talk characters, but just know that the story this season operates on a different level philosophically than what came before. Now, it's not all perfect. The season is front-loaded with some side content that honestly feels like filler when you're watching it. There's returning villains like Titan and the Iquids that show back up, and at this point in the story, it's hard to feel the same urgency around them that you might have earlier in the series. The show has a habit of doing this, building towards the big consequential stuff while filling time with material that doesn't quite carry the same weight. Season 4 does do it again, and it is noticeable. But when the season locks in, it really locks in. Episodes 5, 6, and 7 in particular are some of the strongest the show has ever produced, so stick with it. Another big highlight was, to me, the character deep dives. This is the part I really wanted to get to because the character work this season is where it shines the hardest. Let's start with Mark. His arc this season is genuinely one of the most interesting things the show has done with him. And I want to highlight one moment specifically. And I'll try to keep this vague enough to stay spoiler light. But there's this full circle thing the show does with how Mark approaches conflict that is just peak writing. For anyone that's watched the show, think back to Conquest. When Mark tries to reason with Conquest, he gets absolutely worked for even attempting it. That fight burned a lesson into him. Not every enemy is going to hear you out. So when Mark finally comes face to face with Thragg, he doesn't ask, he doesn't negotiate, he comes in swinging because survival mode taught him that talking gets you hurt. But then Thragg tells him to stop, and Mark actually pauses. That's the moment. That's what this season does so well. Conquest stripped the talk first instinct out of Mark, and yet here's Thragg, the most dangerous thing Mark has ever encountered, pulling him back to the table. Except this time, diplomacy isn't naivety. It's the only real move available. Conquest taught him words can get you killed. Thragg taught him that he might be the only thing that saves you. And the show never says that out loud. It just trusts you to feel it. That's the kind of writing that separates Invincible from basically everything else in the genre right now. And leading into that, let's talk about Thragg, because this man deserves his own segment, if you ask me. What makes Thragg different from every villain Mark has faced before isn't the power level, it's the logic. Thragg doesn't destroy for the sake of it. He's a leader who's always calculating survival for his people. The Viltrumites are a civilization on the edge of extinction, and every single move he makes comes from that place. You're not going to agree with all of it. Honestly, you're not supposed to. He's the villain. But you can't fully dismiss it either. And that's so much more unsettling than a villain who's just evil. And you have to think about it this way. Let's see, I want to say this without spoiling much. Well, Omni-Man, Invincible, and Thaddeus, they cause something major that pretty much hurts Thragg a lot. But basically, when you sit with the context for Thragg's reasoning, as extreme as it gets, it starts to make a certain kind of sense. Mark being wise enough to actually hear him out rather than just fight through it, that's character growth in action. Thragg elevates this show's conflict from physical to philosophical, and that's exactly what a story at this stage needed. Beyond that, guys, let's talk about what was a miss, the bad. Like any show, any movie, let's keep it real. This season is not without its problems, and I'm not just going to sit here and hype it up without being honest. First and foremost, it was the thing that really bothered me was the Dark Blood episode, which was episode 4. I understand what they were going for. Kirkman had talked about wanting to do this storyline for years and never got to it in the comics, but the timing was just off. Right when the Viltrumite plot needed to be kind of gain momentum, we take a full detour into a hell-based storyline, and a lot of people checked out, including myself. Honestly, if you look on IMDb, it became the lowest rated episode in the entire series. It dropped to a 6.7. That kind of tells you something. The episode felt like it belonged somewhere else, or maybe it needed to be handled differently. Because where it landed just deflated the season's energy at the worst possible moment. Secondly is the animation. Honestly, this has been a conversation since season 1, and honestly, it's still worth having. A big chunk of that budget is going to an incredibly stacked celebrity voice cast, and the trade-off shows up in the animation quality. This season had some noticeable issues, such as like repeated frames, long stretches of static dialogue, and there's at least one major fight that happened completely off screen. For a show that built its reputation on visceral, brutal action sequences, that's a tough pill to swallow. And third, some of the comic changes didn't land well. The whole tech jacket gender swap in particular. Look, changes in adaptations are nothing new. And sometimes they work, but when you're changing characters that have real weight in the source material, it's just not going to feel right. And honestly, it just kind of felt pointless to me. But also it kind of worked too. So it's not that much of a tidbit, just a little thing I had to kind of put out there. But for a conclusion, where does that leave us? Is this a show of caliber? Season 4 of Invincible is the show at its most ambitious. And yeah, occasionally it's most uneven. It swings hard with the Viltrumite War. It delivers the most emotionally complex moments in the series so far, and it gives us a villain in Thragg who completely changes what a threat looks like in the universe. When this season is firing, it is genuinely some of the best superhero storytelling, animated or otherwise, that's on TV right now, period. But it's not a clean home run. The front loaded pacing, the side plots that eat up time, the animation inconsistencies, those are real issues, and fans who come in expecting the season to come out swinging right away are going to have to be patient before it really finds its rhythm. What saves it and honestly elevates it is the writing. The character work is thoughtful, the moral questions don't have easy answers, and the full circle moments reward viewers who have been locked in since day one. Mark Grayson is still one of the most compelling protagonists in the genre, and watching him operate in a world where punching harder isn't always the solution is as riveting as it's ever been. Season 4 isn't perfect, but it's proof that Invincible is still one of the very few superhero stories that actually has something real to say. And with Season 5 already confirmed, and Kirkman's long game still very much in play, honestly, the best might still be ahead of us. With all that said, guys, I would have to give this season of Invincible, Season 4, a final rating of a 9 out of 10. I liked it just about as much as I liked Season 3, which I also give that season a 9 out of 10. It just felt like the stakes just got higher, and it just kept elevating. Very solid season indeed. Um, but that was all for me on this one, though, guys. Let me know in the comments, what did you think of Season 4 if you have seen it? Were you feeling Thragg as a villain? Did the Dark Blood episode lose you, or did you actually rock with it? I want to hear from you all down below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and share this with somebody who's been sleeping on Invincible, because there's no reason not to be watching this show. But with all that said, guys, I will catch you in the next one. This is Jake from CINECALIBER.